My interviewees today are the Reverend Alex Frost and the Reverend Chris Kravitz. Alex is the Vicar of St Matthew's with Holy Trinity in Burnley, and Chris is the Rector of Holy Trinity Poulton Le Sands and St Lawrence in Morecambe. But together they are the comedy duo Jack and Crack. Now, these two met on ordination retreat back in 2015 and discovered a joint love for comedy. They initially started to work on a couple of sketches just for fun, but this has evolved into something more permanent. They've come to recognise that comedy is an important part of their ministry, and they now regularly post on their Facebook and YouTube channels.
Just a collar, it's just one of his collars with a bit of sellotape on it. Dara Lee! Cheese triangles! Are you having me on, Father? Where are you? Where does this cable go? We'll follow it. Come on.
Their videos are a gentle poke at themselves, whom they never take too seriously, and at Christianity and the world around them. Gentlemen, it's brilliant to be able to speak with you today. Thank you very much for finding the time to come and talk to us.
Oh, thanks for having us.
That's all right. Strange times at the moment that we're living in, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah.
Weird, I think is the best way to put it. Now, as we know, priests, or as priests, we often end up dealing with people at the most difficult times in their life. We do get the good stuff in people's life, don't we? But we absolutely get the tough times as well. And I think this has been a lot more during lockdown. There's been a lot more tough and not as many smiles. So tell me, what's kept you guys laughing during the crisis? What's kept the smile on your faces?
Well, shall I go first, Alec?
I can't think of anything.
Well, the thing that's kept me laughing is also the thing that I've disliked the most about this. I'm very much a people person, and I like to meet in the flesh. So I find it very difficult to do lots of things over Zoom, because I don't think you come across quite as well as you could do in person. You don't get the subtext. But one of the best things about Zooming with and in churches, quite often the generation of people who are using technology are sort of coming at it new. So they've never done it before, and they go on and it's great. But so many meetings take place like that, where you've got people looking like that, and you ask them how they are, and they say, yes, oh, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, or like this, yeah, oh, it's great, it's lovely, thank you, yeah. So that's kept me. Yeah, yes, yeah. It says connecting to audio. Can you hear me? No, yeah. So, I mean, I love all that. That's kept me chuckling. Yeah, that's it, Alex. Exactly like that. Yeah.
It's the right place at PCC.
Yeah. Yeah, like that.
I'm booming.
Should we do the whole thing like this?
Help me up.
Yeah, the thing is, though, it's quite often there's one or two people in their twilight years, and often when I'm driving down the street, I see them in the car like that, and it worries me. When you do that, that worries me a bit. Can they see me? I can only see their head. So yeah, that's kept me chuckling. That has, and yeah, lots of things like that. What about you?
Yeah, I have been a bit short on laughs, but Chris in Celebrity Square down there wherever he is, he keeps me going. And yeah, I mean, I said to you just before we came on, because I've got a beard now and I've grown my hair, and the congregation had been away, on Sunday somebody actually thought I was visiting clergy, which I thought was classic.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Father Bear Grylls. Yeah, someone leans over and whispers, I think he's going to drink his own urine next. I think...
You should have not said anything, and they might have said what they really think about you. You could have found out all sorts of secrets, pretended to be somebody else.
No, I know, but yeah, you've got to laugh, haven't you? And bless them. Some of the more elderly members, they just don't get social distancing, do they? They come, hey, how are you, love? How are you? Just get back. Get back.
milkshake on it.
Yeah, they've not quite worked it out yet.
Yeah. So this.
So do you find that laughter sort of, generally maintains you through your life, or do you find that actually there are times when it's really hard to laugh? What about the dark days? Is laughter easy then, and does it lift you, or does it just not come when it's dark?
Well, it wasn't very helpful when I had a touch of gout. I had to have antibiotics, and that did the trick. But generally, comedy does do the trick. You've got to, because like you say, Rev, we get the serious stuff, don't we?
Yeah.
And sometimes you carry that with you, especially if you've had a 2 or 3 funerals, sometimes in a day or in a week, and the circumstances can really weigh heavy. And then, but I'm sure undertakers and funeral directors and people in the crematoriums, they'll tell you that laughter just helps ease the bit.
Definitely. There's a lot of healing in laughter. I think often that is how God chooses to heal people from a lot of the hurts that they carry, from losing people or from illness or whatever. Quite often being able to laugh at it or laugh in the face of it soothes and heals like a balm. And definitely we've seen that in the way we've been, haven't we, Alex, with when we've spoken to people who are at the time of death or who are very ill. Quite often humor, they want to have a good laugh, and it, the tears are rolling down their face, but it's mirth. They're really laughing away, and laughing in the face of the Grim Reaper actually is quite empowering, and it frees us, I think. And I think laughter is really important. But when you lose sight of it, I don't know about you guys, but I've got a displacement activity after a funeral. I wander off into a supermarket. Can't do that so much now, but it's usually an Aldi or a Sainsbury's or an Asda, whatever. There are other supermarkets that are available. I'm not against Tesco, and I just go and I get the trolley and I wander. I'm not buying anything particularly. I'm shoplifting. No, I go around and I'm just letting my mind wander. And very often in that place, as I've let my mind wander, you kind of can hear the reel unspooling as I'm going along. Then
he's then asked to leave the ladies' underwear department.
Yes, yeah. That's happened before in my collar, Yes, I'm buying them for my wife. But
we'll take them off then.
Yeah, stop wearing them. Yeah, they don't like that. Yeah, double D. Anyway, you've made me forget. But yeah, there's quite often a funny moment that happens towards the end of that displacement thing, which just brings it back. I feel refreshed, and I get healing from that.
I've got quite a funny anecdote because it only happened on Monday. That just laughing at random stuff is that the morning of Monday, I walked down to the crematorium, because it's just around the corner from where I live, and I was wandering through, and there was a sycamore tree, and on the side of the sycamore tree was like this petal, this really beautiful petal. But I had the dogs with me, and I thought, oh, that's weird. I must look that up sometime. Anyway, that night, I walked down with Sarah. I thought, I must show this petal. She must work out what it was. And I was ready. I was going to Google image this flower, but actually, it was actually a plastic petal that somebody had just taken from the ground and attached to the tree.
Just nailed it on.
Just literally done. But Sarah had this hysterical outburst, and I'm telling you now, because she'll want to tell the world, because she couldn't stop laughing that I'd just thought that this was actually this wild flower that was growing on the side of a sycamore. She picked it up and put it in her hair.
It's amazing on Remembrance Day how many flowers bloom up on people's gates and things and in their windows, isn't it?
Mm. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were ordained, we were tasked with preaching the gospel afresh in every new generation. And every time we renew our ordination vows, that's one of the things that obviously we promise to do. I think that this has been brought into real sharp focus during the lockdown, because more and more of us have had to go online to do the things that we would have done in person or in our church buildings. And we've all had to do this quite difficult battle with social media as we've learned how to do it. But of course, you guys have been using social media for a very long time now, because you've been reaching out to a new audience through Facebook and YouTube for quite a while. So what tips have you got for the rest of us when it comes to online evangelism?
Well, I don't know what Chris thinks, but when me and Chris do stuff, I mean, that I think we did kind of a vlog of when we went to the Holy Land, and we really didn't sit and talk about that very much. We just said, let's just vlog it, let's just capture it. And we thought, well, you know, you might get a few folk. We know that some people like to follow us because I'm funny.
Oh, sorry, you weren't joking. Go on.
No, but we do have, you know, but we have some people who'd like to follow us. But anyway, so when we went to the Holy Land, it was amazing, wasn't it, Chris? It was like hundreds and hundreds of people were looking at the videos, and so we thought, right, let's really roll with this. And people were messaging us saying, we love following your trip, and we love hearing your catch-ups and things. And it was so. I mean, I would just say, just be as natural as you possibly can.
Yeah, definitely. Be real. Don't try to be a personality or project out an image which isn't who you are or what you're trying to do. Just be real. And if you're not good at technology, make sure that you spell that out at the beginning so they know to expect some glitches and whatever, and be lighthearted about it. And people these days, I think, online, there's such a need for genuineness, like reality, and not something that's been edited and edited and edited and edited, because so much of stuff that's out there has been edited within an inch of its life so that you believe these YouTubers. I mean, I don't know if you've been, if you've ever follow anyone on YouTube, there's one I like, and she like tells murder mystery stories or whatever. And it's so tightly edited, but you get a real sense of who she is, despite that. And I think people are crying out for genuine, heartfelt experience through the lens of having it streamed into their room.
Yeah.
So
I would also sorry, mate. Is the power, you know, I mean, there is so much awful stuff on the internet, but it can be a real force for good, and it can reach everywhere. You know, we've had messages, you know, in church as well, you know, from New Zealand and Australia, around the world, and it's amazing who watches it, who it gets to. You know, I
had a message from a Nigerian prince who said I was set to inherit a large amount of money. I mean, it's amazing how far your message can get.
Brilliant.
It does go into people. It goes to people's living rooms. It goes right into where they are, and they can see. Yeah,
it's a new way of really reaching people where they are right now. And it's, I mean, I know that across the board, but I know we have found that we've got an awful lot more people accessing our online services than would ever have turned up in person. So I think that's really interesting and something not to lose as we're going forward. I think we've got to keep that going.
Well, I said to our wardens, if this lot show up on Sunday, we'll have to build an extension. You know, I mean, on the streaming, we're doing really, really well. And I know, Alex, you stream everything. I mean, you really are prolific. I mean, you're never off the internet. It's amazing. You know, you've got lots of your people doing it as well. And it's really, really great to see. And there's just so much opportunity for people to tune in. Isn't there? I think it's really cool. Ignore it at your peril, church. Ignore it at your peril.
Really,
you know, even if you're
I've come off my own personal media for a bit because it was just getting, but you know, it got a bit. You know, I like to use my social media personally for fun and entertainment, but it was like gotten a little bit political. But Jack and Crack is a vehicle, one, to try and make people smile, and two, is to proclaim the gospel. Now, some people might be think, you know, if we're doing a sketch that's got Donald T. Rump or and a doff of the cap to Les Dawson, then some people might think, well, that's just ridiculous. Well, that's fine, but
and it is ridiculous, but it's funny as well, we think.
Yeah. with a Christian heart in it, and so you can't be everybody's cup of tea, but I don't worry too much about that.
Yeah. So, actually, as priests, though, we open ourselves up to criticism generally, don't we? As soon as you put a dog collar on and stand up on a Sunday morning and proclaim something, you are automatically opening yourself up to criticism. But that's actually felt a lot more keenly online, because it's easier for people to put criticism in their comments, isn't it? It's a lot more faceless, I guess, and people they feel that they can do it anonymously. How do you cope when people do criticize what you're doing, especially the online stuff?
Yeah, I've had a bit of that lately, but I think, we trained together. We were a year or so apart, Anne, but, I remember some of the teaching is, can't remember who it was, possibly Tim, but anyway, and it was like, if you're going to preach, don't worry, make it relevant, try and, it doesn't matter if it gets people where they itch, doesn't matter if it pricks a conscience, it doesn't necessarily matter. You're not there to delight them, are you? You're not there to, give them the value for money. You're there to make them think.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do that through something quite poignant or emotional. Sometimes you have to just kind of go right to the heart, and sometimes that hurts, doesn't it? People don't like the truth sometimes, but Jesus was prepared to go to those places, and I think we should be as priests and preachers, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't receive much criticism online. I think probably partly because I'm.
Hang on, I've got a letter here, mate.
Oh, that's pen and paper. That don't count. I just lined the budgie cage with that. But when you're more vocal online, people do love to troll you or to come back. Or we've had a little bit. We did get a bit when we were on our trip, when we went to the Holy Land, and we noted that Bethlehem felt very much, and I think the phrase we used was like a dump. On reflection, maybe we could have thought more about that, but in an aim to be genuine, that is how it felt, and that was what we thought, and it's what we would have said to one another and other people. But as soon as you broadcast it, you suddenly have to be more aware of the language that you use. And I think that's the difficulty. So being genuine and also being respectful, there's a sort of a balance there. And I think we got it right, but we did get some stick for it. But I find the most difficult thing is the desire for perfection straight away is just really difficult. But it's always in person. So people will say, can we live stream it? So we'll spend all week trying to work out how we're going to live stream it. We'll buy some kit, we'll plug it in, it'll work. But of course, it won't be perfect. There'll be a sound issue, or you won't be able to see the screen, or we don't know quite how the program works because we've only had it a week. And the first thing that people will say is, well, can we have the screen on? And well, can't we have the volume better? And isn't the picture? And the answer is yes, we'll try, but we're just trying this, bear with, and I think people expect like excellence, and often, especially in the setup of a local church, a smaller local church, that's not always possible. And as a priest, we feel the pressure, don't we? Particularly in worship, we want to offer the absolute best to the absolute most number of people we can. And when it's not, we do wear it, I think, and we feel it ourselves. And then when someone points it out, oh, well, I couldn't hear for 5 minutes because the sound went out. And you're like, well, I've no idea why, but now I feel personally responsible for that. And that's something that's quite interesting.
I think there's also something there about what people's expectations of their priest is. In days gone by, priests aren't meant to have a sense of humour and be funny. They're the wise and the the finger waggers and such like. But I don't ever particularly set out to be funny. but sometimes it is. And if it's part of your DNA, if it's, you know, if your personality is that you've got an ability to make you laugh, that's a gift that's been given to you, and that shouldn't be suppressed by anyone. But some people do try and suppress that. You know, people have charged me guilty of that sometimes, but that's what I am. You know, I get through life by trying to not to take everything too seriously, but also taking the things that need to be serious very seriously.
Yes.
I'm very serious about my ministry. I'm very seriously about the Bible. I'm very serious about prayer. But on the other side of that is, I just need to have a laugh sometimes because it gets me through.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Echo. You're there on my screen, but you might be there.
You're there.
Anyway, I echo what he said.
Brilliant. So let's talk about the trip to the Holy Land, because I mean the blog from the Holy Land. I'm glad you've got the hat on. The blog from the Holy Land was brilliant, but actually it wasn't all funny. I mean, Alex just seemed to be in tears like the whole time. You know, I mean, I guess it was just clearly a really poignant trip for you. I mean, you know, tell us a little bit about that, Alex.
It was mind-blowing. It was very, very emotional for me. I never thought that I would be in a position where I'd be going to the Holy Land, and I'd actually planned to go on my own.
But then I gate crashed.
Then brother Chris jumped on board, but do you know what? I'm so glad he did, because I had somebody to share. We had some really wonderful people on the trip. We made some good friends. But actually, you know, most of them, I think, were with partners, and I was with my comedy partner. But it absolutely made it fantastic. I'm really fortunate. We get on. You know, I don't ever recall us falling out. You know, he's a bit annoying at times, but we get on. And it was just wonderful to be stood in those most holiest of places with him, and experiencing together the stories and the accounts and the architecture and the nature and the surroundings, and it chokes me up now. It was just the most brilliant experience. I'm so glad I went with him. Thanks.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, it was great. Thanks for telling me about it. It was, it would have passed me by. It was incredible, wasn't it? Absolutely incredible. And if ever you get the chance to go. Really, you must go. And if ever you get the chance to go with us, because we might lead one, well, we are going to lead one, hopefully, if it's still on with all this, then come with us and walk in the actual footsteps. You know, that evidence is always tricky when you're talking about such a long history, but there is no doubt that is where Jerusalem is. That is where it is. And there's no doubt that he was there. And those same streets, you know, yeah. And there were some real moments.
One of the things that struck me was how small, everything, you know, in terms of Jerusalem, it was all, well, we'll just go there, and you're on the coach for a matter of minutes, and then you're in another site, and then you can spend a whole day walking, and within minutes you're in another historical site. It was so authentic. It was so wonderful, and amongst that, all the, you know, the different, you know, the Muslim community there and the Jewish community there, and I was a bit fearful of what it was going to be like, that it was going to be scary and there'd be trouble, but I just felt at home, and I just want to go back. Can't wait to go back with him.
Yeah, me neither. It's going to be great.
Fantastic. So I know
sounds like an advert. So if you'd like to come to the Holy Land,
I've got a flyer if you're interested.
We'll put a link in the bottom.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that.
I don't either, actually.
Click the sunglasses. Oh, you missed. Oh, yeah. Come on.
Well, I am quite glad to see that the sunglasses, the £15 sunglasses, have survived.
They have.
And that you've taken the price tag off. That's quite good. And that your hat survived as well. I don't think it ever came off your head, did it, in the whole time you were there?
Well,
when we were actually on the aircraft, and Chris, I had my dog collar on because I do like wear it.
He sleeps in it. He sleeps in it. So you know.
Somebody actually, as I went to the loo, somebody actually stopped me, and he thought I was actually on a stag do. He said, "Are you a real vicar?" I went, "I am." So what? Why? He said, "I thought you were on a stag do with your mate," because he was.
Well, he's sitting there in his collar, and I'm like, "Oi, oi, go to the Holy Land," you know.
Looking for tequila cocktails on the aircraft, which
I thought I'd put my tar outfit on after we get there. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I took that as a great compliment, by the way.
Yeah, I think that's a great compliment. Definitely to you, though, Alex.
Yeah.
So tell us, what's the future then? What are your future plans now? Apart from obviously going back to the Holy Land, what's the future for Jack and Crack? What's coming next?
Well, we had you know, obviously Chris has left me. He moved away from East Lancashire, but we did have a comedy night that was all booked actually. In fact, they've got the tickets and the posters, but that was going to be a free community event with our mate Tony Vino, who's a Christian comedian, and but hopefully that'll come back on. But I think once, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing Chris in physically, because I've not seen him for a while, and getting across there. And we normally have fish and chips. I pay, of course.
Yeah. We have diet fish and chips, don't we?
But any food that you eat in the course of your work doesn't have calories on, because you're eating it for God.
Indeed, absolutely. So
we definitely want to get because we just started looking at planning a trip back to the Holy Land, and we had some interest. So I think once we can get the okay, we can start looking at that again, because we definitely want to do it, and we think it'll be better the second time round because we've experienced it, or maybe it won't be. I don't know. But I think hopefully we'll do another comedy thing. We do have quite a few sketches in the bag that Chris thinks. I think he's one of these. He's hoping we might get famous and somebody will find them in like 60 years, because they never see the light of day.
But what he's referring to is we last time we hung out, we recorded, I think, maybe 3 sketches maybe, and all of them were good, but politically there were 1 or 2 issues with some of it, and the editing involved in taking out some of the things that were said is just a bit astronomical. So I think we might need to re-record some of them. Fair enough.
Okay, so
I'm more concerned with that kind of thing. What was I saying about things being over-edited? Yeah, oops.
I think that shows wisdom, and you're learning and you're growing, and that's a good thing.
Well, that's very generous of you.
Okay, so we normally have questions that we ask every person, but because there's 2 of you, that's going to take forever, so we're not going to do that. So instead, we're going to do a TikTok challenge. So what we're going to do is, it's called the finger challenge. So what I'm going to ask you to do is stick your hands up like this. So I want to be able to see your fingers, so you can see all 10. And what I'm going to say is, put your finger down put your finger down if you've ever done any of these things, okay? Are you ready? Dead simple. So put your finger down if you've ever worn the wrong liturgical colour. Okay, Alex, all right, okay. Put your finger down if you've ever dropped the bread or wine.
I've knocked it over.
That'll do, finger down, yeah. Okay, put your finger down if you've ever lied to the bishop.
Well, define lying. No, we'll leave it up.
Okay. Put your finger down if you've ever been late for a service.
Chris, get the whole hand down. Get your head down. Walk out the chain.
I've never been late for a service. Actually, I have been late. But not as many as you think, Alex.
Okay, have you ever, put your finger down, if you've ever had to stop a service in the middle to tell your kids off? Ooh. Ooh, it's a good job you're not asking me these questions.
I actually had to try and tell another kid off without telling them off because the Thomas train whacked into. Anyway, yeah.
Thomas trains are dangerous. Okay, put your finger down if you've ever forgotten the name of a bride.
I write them down.
I write them down. Alex, you are looking the more holy at the moment.
There you go. See,
Looks can be deceiving. I'll tell you that.
They can. They can. Put your finger down if you've ever forgotten your dog collar and had to make one out of paper.
Did you write these for me? Fairy liquid bottle, one of the white fairy liquid bottles.
White fairy liquid bottles.
this is tattooed on this. Tattoo.
Yeah, it doesn't count because he never takes his
Oh,
off. He's
Yours,
watching down in it.
That's why it's plastic, so he can shower in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do.
It's got a Radox stain on it. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
All right, put your finger down if you've ever had to leave a service in the middle to go to the toilet.
Big bladder me.
Ooh. Have you ever worn your robes to a fancy dress party?
Does the cloak count?
Yes.
Oh.
You do midi in no way.
It's been great. You just go. Anyway, sorry.
Robes are brilliant for dressing up. Okay. Put your finger down if your phone has ever gone off in the middle of a service.
On Bluetooth.
Oh, nice. Okay, final one. Put your finger down if you've ever stolen somebody else's sermon and said it was your own.
No.
Wow, Alex, I think you are absolutely, definitely the more holy. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, my child.
I blame the questions.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you so very much for coming and being with us today. You've absolutely made me laugh, and I'm sure everybody else too.
Is it bank transfer the fee or?
Yeah, I'll send it across.
Well, don't send it to him, or him. Send it to both of us.
Okay, I'll send it to Chris because he's the manager, obviously.
Oh, I'm glad you recognise.
Oh, well, it's goodbye from you and goodbye from your hat. Thank you.
Indeed. God bless.
God bless. Bye.